Dead bottom of the NFC West with a clueless coach, a lost quarterback, and a whole lot of injuries? It's fair to say that the Arizona Cardinals have major problems. This was a team predicted to finish with 10 wins by the fans and the pundits, who have invested interest in the Arizona Cardinals and want to see them do well. But now, they struggle to find anything positive to say about this train wreck of a team. How did it get so doom and gloom so quickly after a season where they notched up 11 wins? The simple scapegoat would be the coaching department. Head coach Kliff Kingsbury is regarded as the main person at fault for the sudden disappearance of a once electrifying team. If you watched any of the Cardinals games this season, you would notice how poorly the pieces of the offense have been utilized, how inexistent is the defensive threat, and the stupidity of the play calling and crunch time decisions. One moment that comes to mind was the Week 5 game at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Cardinals were down by 3 points, had the ball, and were nearing field goal range with a few seconds to spare. The lack of communication resulted in the dumbest of moves that week. There were 22 seconds left after quarterback Kyler Murray slid near the first down marker, but it wasn't the first down. It was a third down and short situation, but the head coach had no clue and told Murray to spike the ball to stop the clock. This resulted in a loss of a down, and with time remaining, the Cardinals only had one choice to kick the field goal to send it to overtime. They had at least 5 more opportunities to get it in the end zone or move the ball closer to get a better field goal shot, but due to the panic and lack of command of the head coach, the decision was made to kick a 43-yard field goal with their backup kicker. As you might be aware, he missed. They lost the game and lost a chance to win the game because of poor clock management. The entire scenario was ridiculed across the NFL universe. Cardinals fans added an extra layer of frustration on their spine. Not only did they lose, but it was in such a farcical way that you can't help but think it's due to the ineptitude of their head coach. But Kliff Kingsbury won't mind since he signed a contract extension in the offseason, keeping him with the team until 2027. This means the Arizona fans get to see more horizontal play rather than any vertically, and continued dumb decisions leading to aggravating losses. I'm sure the losses would have been met with a softer reaction had the team been playing well, but they haven't. They are the most boring team to watch in the NFL, and that says a lot. They have so many weapons at their disposal, yet still manage to go 5 weeks without scoring in the first quarter. It's fair to say that the Arizona Cardinals have a big problem. But how does a team with the likes of quarterback Kyler Murray fail to ignite the fan base? It's simple. Kyler Murray is playing with his hands tied behind his back. Fans want to see their starting quarterback make exciting plays that lift the team. Kyler Murray can throw the deep ball, but he's been throwing a tremendous amount of passes that don't travel more than 5 yards. It's those short slants or screen passes that were decided by the play calling of Kliff Kingsbury that are limiting Murray's options and ability to be mobile. The Arizona Cardinals have a quarterback that can take out defenders, but the coaching staff is protecting him. They don't want him to have the ball for more than 2 seconds. As a result, Murray has averaged 43 pass attempts in the first 5 weeks and had a high pass completion percentage because they were mostly short passes that barely crossed the line of scrimmage. And in those 5 games, he only averaged 5.6 rushing attempts for 4.75 yards per carry. That's incredibly low and tells us that he was only using his legs to get small yardage gains rather than using those designed running plays to go further down the field. It's one thing to protect your quarterback, and you should since he is the most valued member of the team, but it's another to restrict him at the expense of your team. In their last game on the road to the Seahawks, Murray was granted the license to run, and he did so by getting 100 yards from 10 attempts. He also threw 37 times. So it is possible for him to carry the ball, but it seems that decision by Kingsbury was only factored in once they lost their main wide receiver. And here comes another major problem for the Cardinals. The man who caught the most touchdowns this season for the Arizona Cardinals could be out for the rest of the year with a foot injury. Marquise Hollywood Brown has 3 touchdowns on the year and 43 receptions, resulting in 485 yards. That's a little over 11 yards per reception and was the clear go-to guy for Murray when the Cardinals were needing a touchdown. Not only does Brown have the catching ability and skill to be targeted as a number 1 receiver, but he also has a connection with Murray. They played together in college as Oklahoma Sooners, so naturally the relationship had chemistry groomed from their years spent playing together at an elite college level. The loss of Brown is a major problem for the Cardinals, and the front office responded by panic trading. The Cardinals acquired wide receiver Robbie Anderson from the Carolina Panthers, who was last seen being ejected by his own coaching staff during a game. That's right, the player from the team with the worst record in the NFC was told his services were no longer required. And yet the Cardinals thought it was a smart move to bring in Anderson, who only has 206 yards from 27 targets and 1 touchdown, to a team that is already bloated by wide receivers past their expiry date. Remember A.J. Green, the once famed wide receiver for the Bengals who used to put up over 1,000 receiving yards per season? Is now just a shadow of his former self and only has 10 receptions from 6 games for 56 yards. It's disheartening to see Green fall off the face of the football landscape, but what's even more painful is to see this Cardinals team stoop so low to trade for a player that wasn't wanted by a team who can use all the wide receivers they can get. It's a trade that you think would invite more misery than joy, but there's something for the Cardinals to look forward to, and that's the return of DeAndre Hopkins, who has completed his suspension after he tested positive for a banned performance-enhancing substance. So Kyler Murray will have to rely on a guy not even the worst team in the NFL wants, an aged and ineffectual former star, and a player who is so low on confidence he needs to use performance-enhancing drugs. But on the bright side, there are minor problems that the Arizona Cardinals are facing, as most of their running backs are out injured, and if they weren't injured, they would be designated as injury-prone. It's not the ideal set of circumstances for the Cardinals, as they are 2 games below 500 and being led by a head coach who has job security and has absolutely no clue how to get the best out of his players. His defensive unit is the least feared in all the league, and his offensive schemes are so predictable that they are the only team who are failing to score in the first quarter. Kliff Kingsbury is a major problem who also triggers other major problems on the team, most notably the handcuffing of the quarterback. Kyler Murray seems like he's a player not being allowed to express himself on the field and is tied to an antiquated game plan. Not only does the Arizona quarterback have to deal with an incompetent coach, but he has a shortage of weapons, most notably the wide receiver who he has a natural connection with in Marquise Brown. It's fair to say that the 11-game winning team from last season is no longer around, even though most of the pieces are still there, and that one major piece that sits on top of the pyramid might be the main reason why the Arizona Cardinals have major problems. Who do you think is the main problem with the Arizona Cardinals? Head coach Kliff Kingsbury? Quarterback Kyler Murray? What about his wide receiver weapons? Please let us know in the comments below, but before you go, if you still want to watch some awesome NFL content like this, please watch the next video that will pop up on your screen.